I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Most Haunted City on Earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And it is our 40th episode.
Woo-hoo!
Y'all have stuck around with us for 40 episodes of listening to our nonsense.
We are honored.
We are honored that you would like to listen to us babble about ghosts for this long.
Indeed.
Already.
Babylon about the Babadook.
Absolutely. So we are definitely appreciative of that, and we have a very fun episode to celebrate it. But before we get into that, I'm going to throw it over to JT real quick for some announcements.
Yes, we have a lot of announcements, but I'll make it quick. All right, we have a new website and merch store launching on Halloween.
Woohoo!
Yes,
Very
yes.
appropriate.
Absolutely. We are going to have a full line of merch. We have shirts. We have sweatpants. We have sweatshirts. We have fanny packs. We have beanies. We got it all. So definitely be sure to check that out. The shirts are going to be Bella Canvas. We're going high quality and giving you all good prices for that because we love you.
And the sweatpants have a ghost on the butt, so you can be bootiful.
Oh, boo booty.
Boo booty. I told you, this is what they asked for.
Boo booty, boo booty.
This is what they asked for? This is what you asked for? Okay. On top of that, all Parajunkies, get ready for this. I'm announcing it on this podcast. You are all getting discounts. The higher the tier, the higher the discounts. And some of the higher tiers are getting free shipping on anything. So definitely keep a lookout for that. I'm also thinking about creating a secret store for Parajunkies with Parajunkie only merch.
Secret.
Ooh. That'll be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. So, if you're not a Parajunkie, definitely consider that because we literally overload Patreon with content and all types of fun stuff, and we're always updating it, and it's a good time. Okay, really quick, speaking of that, I'd like to thank our newest Parajunkies. All right, I would like to thank Nicole Richmond, Gwen Staggs, Mariana Z, Nicole Kingbird, Veronica Ramirez, and Carla Guerrero. Thank y'all so much for becoming Parajunkies. Seriously, your support really means a ton to us.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. We have a really cool episode coming up. Really cool episode coming up. Have y'all seen the TikTok, that viral TikTok of the security guard in that super haunted mausoleum, cemetery building thing, and all of these super creepy things are happening, and he's talking to ghosts, and he does paranormal investigations in it and all of that. Have y'all seen that? If you haven't, here it is.
This security guard works at a cemetery and has crazy paranormal experiences while at work, so we started recording the moments.
So, I'm actually hearing something banging on the door. I'm hoping I'm going to catch it, son of a bitch. The door was open again. Hello, security. Hello. Hey, you need to come out. I'm not playing anymore. I don't know where the hell these people are or where. Jesus fucking Christ.
He's even had multiple moments where you can actually hear voices inside the cemetery building.
Anybody in here? Hello? Yeah, but listen, you got to get out of here. You're going to have to come talk to me, okay? Where you at? I can't see you. You're correct, so you need to come out, okay?
And one night, he got called about a flickering light inside the church, so we went to go check it out.
Okay, guys. I'm really not sure what's going on here. Nope. Yeah, I'm fucking done. This is some spooky fucking shit going on here. This is why my security officer fucking quit.
We are going to be interviewing as a guest the security guard in that video. And we are so excited. Little did we know that was Hillcrest Abbey East, which is,
right off of Skidaway Road and
Yeah.
by the Harry Truman Parkway, which is right by us. It's
About
like
a mile away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From where we're sitting right now.
we had no idea when we watched it. We were like, oh, this is cool. Probably in New
I
England.
knew.
Yeah.
Chris knew.
Chris knew. We did not, though. So Joshua Runyon with Paranormal Security 9886. Check out his YouTube. Is going to be joining us this Tuesday. Parajunkies will get that episode this Tuesday. Everyone else will get the episode not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. So I guess if you're listening to this now, that made no sense because okay.
So
Hold
what
on.
date would that be?
If you're listening to this now, then Parajunkies have already seen the episode, and you will see it this Tuesday.
Yes.
Excellent.
All
Yes.
right.
Time is an illusion.
Yes,
So,
yes. All right. And happy 40th episode, you guys. Seriously, this has been, super
Yeehaw.
fun. We've grown exponentially. We have y'all to thank for that. Thank you so much. And Madison, let them know what we're going to be doing this episode for the 40th.
So we have some really awesome fans, but our Parajunkies, because they have the most access to us, they have told us some really freaky ghost stories that have happened to them. And of course, we welcome that with open arms. But we have picked two particular stories that a couple of our Parajunkies have shared with us, and we are going to share it with you. We are going to be live reacting to these, essentially,
Yep.
and discussing. So it's going to be really fun. These are very frightening stories. So thank y'all for sending those in. And if you have a ghost story, please feel free to send it to us.
For sure. All right, Madison, here is the first one. It comes from Nicole Richmond. We're just going to basically read what Nicole wrote and then discuss it. And then for the next Parajunkie story, we're going to do the exact same thing. It's going to be really cool. So here you go.
Alrighty. So, hey, Madison, Chris, and JT, and Kiwan. Oh, you are really a deep fan if you know who Kiwan is.
He's the hidden leader.
He is the hidden leader, yes, who is very frightened by ghosts and is very frightened by the things we talk about. So, but yes, my name is Nicole. I'm 22 years old and live in Southern California. I want to start off the story with some background details. I grew up around the paranormal. I was a very sensitive kid and even saw a full-bodied apparition throughout my childhood. My mother also had her own investigating group called True Through Paranormal Research. Your mom sounds dope. I would like to meet her and you. So, the story I want to share today took place in my childhood home. It was experienced by myself and 5 other friends and took place over the span of about 2 hours, midday, about 3 years ago. It's quite lengthy, so please bear with me. To paint the proper picture for you, there's a few details I have to preface with this. My house was built in the 1960s. Several rooms have floor-to-ceiling wood-paneled walls. All of my friends feel uneasy in the second floor guest room. To enter the guest room, you have to walk up the stairs and past the walk-in closet. The second floor guest room is located above the attached garage. We have had some smaller activity in that room growing up, sink faucets turning on, lights flickering, random knocks on the walls, kids' handprints on mirrors, that's creepy, etc. So this day in particular, 2 of my friends, Tiana and Lily, came over after school and one by one used the upstairs bathroom. They both are so afraid of that room they refuse to go upstairs alone. While one of them was using the restroom, the light over the stairs turned off, on, off, and back on again. They came running downstairs screaming, and I immediately went into investigation mode, trying to debunk it to no avail. We decided to call over 3 more friends to investigate. My sibling Zach, our friend Jason, and Tiana's sister Hannah, who is also very sensitive. Jason had a headache, so he decided to lay down on the couch in the downstairs living room to take a nap. Meanwhile, upstairs, Hannah began to walk around the room, and she claimed she could feel a very strong energy in the closet. We opened the doors to the walk-in closet and noticed there was something very off about the walls. It was drywall that had been stapled to the wood paneling, taped together and painted over. Where the back wall and left-hand wall meet is strange. It comes outwards like a box or cabinet shape. I'll attach some photos for reference, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see them here. My sibling decided to poke a hole in the wall and feed a drain snake camera down the inside. Y'all should come with us to investigate.
Yeah,
honestly.
I know, right? This is impressive.
That's prepared.
Yes. At this point, everyone was downstairs while my sibling and I began to poke the hole in the wall. Suddenly, a rumble came from under us and seemed to cross the room. It lasted for a pretty long time. We thought it was because the garage door was opening, making the room shake, so we ran downstairs to find it was closed. We were confused and couldn't explain it, but decided to ignore it and continue. All of our friends, with the exception of Jason, followed us upstairs. When Zach began feeding the camera into the wall, everyone agreed the feeling in the room changed. It felt so tense. I was behind Zach holding the phone that was playing the images from the camera. Tiana was next to me, Hannah was behind her, and Lily was on Hannah's right-hand side, kind of in the walkway between the stairs and the closet. After some time, we thought we saw some kind of fabric in the wall. And as soon as we said that out loud, there was a very clear running starting from the bottom of the stairs down the walkway and past us. I cannot stress how loud each step was. Imagine a Great Dane sprinting full force at you on old wood floors. That's actually a very good description. I can perfectly imagine that.
Nicole, you should write a book.
Seriously. Make that coin. Anyways. It made the whole room shake once again, and it was followed immediately by a cold breeze. Lily was the closest to it. She screamed and grabbed Hannah hard enough to cause a chain reaction and shoved Tiana into the wall. We all decided to nope the jerk out of that situation and collectively agreed we were messing with something we shouldn't be. Jason woke up to the sound of the running, followed by the screams, and met us at the bottom of the stairs asking, "What's wrong? What just happened? What was that sound?" There were a few more things experienced in that closet. Most notably, Tiana said she heard whispering and felt a hand grab her shoulder one night while hiding in that closet during a game of hide and seek. That scared her so much she left early that night in tears. Zach also had a very strange experience while in the garage, standing directly below the closet. They said they heard very clear knocking coming from above them. Since then, everything has been pretty tame in comparison. In the past couple of months, things seem to be picking up around the house. Most notably, cabinets have been opening, objects have been moving in all hours of the night, and one night in particular, I entered the house and the entry hall light was flickering for a solid 30 seconds. I feel the need to say that has never happened before, ever. Maybe I'm just numb to it at this point, but this has always been my normal. I'm not sure if my house is haunted or maybe I am. I've experienced things in every location I've lived, and some of them are very consistent, miles apart from each other. I've been calling all my friends to talk about this for the past couple days, and we all would love to hear your thoughts on this experience. And there's plenty more where this came from if you would like to hear another. Yes, I would.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for giving freaks like myself a place to feel seen, heard, and validated. Love, love, love your content, and can't wait to see y'all grow even more. Your friend in life and death, Nicole.
Aww. Demon.
Bruh, JT. JT always goes straight to demon. I don't think it's a demon.
No.
I'm glad that you acknowledged that it might be you as well that might be haunted, because that is very common. I can relate to that in a degree because I did grow up in a haunted house, but I do have a couple spirits that hang around me. because I have the same experience where, you know, every place I've lived, even in dorm rooms and things like that, I've had paranormal experiences. But it doesn't negate the fact that the house is more than likely haunted as well, just because it's so consistent with one particular location in the house. And it doesn't sound like a spirit that's necessarily trying to do anything bad. It just is more so, I feel like it's trying to get your attention. Especially because as people who are sensitive to spirits and whatnot, they tend to flock to us. We seem to give off this energy, or I don't know how we look to them essentially, but they usually can tell. If you can see them, if you can hear them, feel them, whatever, they usually know. And so it might be why when you're in the house, and especially when you bring your friend in who's also sensitive, that it got extra rambunctious and whatnot. But that's kind of my initial thought on the matter. But definitely not a demon. Definitely not even malevolent spirit, I wouldn't say.
Doesn't sound like it. It definitely sounds like something that was asking for attention, and then when it started receiving attention, because of the focus and the intensity of your searching, that is truly reaching out. You know, you literally drilled a hole into their realm. You know, it was a part of this. The act of investigating oftentimes spurs spirits into knowing that someone's looking, that someone's watching, that someone, especially when you're dealing with something that's hidden. When you talk about like an area that has been hidden away, the energy inside that hidden place could be seeping out, but it's desperate to be known. It's desperate to be experienced. And so when you start taking measures, when you start, you know, poking into it, that gives the spirit more energy to present itself, to show itself, to communicate. One of those interesting things is when you have the sound of something passing you and running, and you're followed by that chill in the air. A lot of people believe that spirits can use the ambient temperature around them, draw it in, and in the drawing of that ambient temperature to create energy, it leaves cold because it's pulling heat out of the air, and then what's left behind is cold. So if you have all of these variables that line up with our understanding of how the paranormal, the supernatural work in our world, you start to see a pattern of behavior where you have a sensitive person who is now pursuing a spirit who is trying to be noticed, who's trying to be seen, who's turning lights on and off, who's doing things in an attempt to communicate or at least make you aware of its presence, and then you go looking for it. You know, it's the spirit is reaching out its hand and you are reaching out yours. So it's only a matter of time before, you know, you're able to connect. That is a pretty standard progression when you're dealing with those kinds of investigations. I'm curious about Jason's headache.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Oftentimes when you go into a place that is very heavily charged with energy, some people will get a headache. I oftentimes get headaches in places that are woefully haunted or have something that is specifically spiritually damaging or thick or something had happened there. I oftentimes will get that weird. It's almost like a migraine, but it's not, and it can take you out. Yeah, it can absolutely make you want to lie down and take a nap.
Yeah, and that is very common. I'm one of the weird people that I a lot of times feel if there was any kind of bodily trauma to a person, I tend to feel it.
Yeah, feel the trauma itself, yeah.
Yeah, which sucks. But, you know, like in the Andrew Lowe house, you know, there was someone who died in that house of pneumonia. And every time I would go over by the room where they died, my chest would just, I couldn't speak. And I was trying to give tours and I'd just be like, like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And that happens a lot. So Jason might be a little bit more sensitive than he thinks he is,
sure.
You know?
And that's another thing is, you know, a lot of people don't know that what they have symptomatically is in fact a sign of sensitivity. because because it does present itself in a wide way. I've known people who got nauseous.
Oh yeah.
They'd get like acidy and stomach acid, and they would feel nauseous around supernatural events. There are people who get vertigo, absolutely, chills, severe chills when the temperature hasn't dropped. People who sense cold when there isn't cold. Sometimes that's poor circulation too, but also sure. Possibly. They are sensing the supernatural. I obviously the demon thing was a joke, but I don't agree with the fact that like the running is what made me feel like it wasn't being a nice thing.
Well, okay, so
why would you run?
Okay, think about it, Jay. If it's an entity, especially if it's an entity that hasn't been acknowledged for a while, it's going to be a lower energy being. And what is the thing that's going to cause the most reaction to output energy that it can take? Scaring you. And so, that's a very common tactic of some spirits, especially when they're like trying to get energy, is they will do things like running as fast as they can. It's, to just get a bold reaction or, touching you to scare you.
But also keep in mind that what they were doing was they were fundamentally opening a door that was locked, and there was something on the other side of that door. The moment a door opens and you've been locked in, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to run. You're going
Great Dane out that door.
You're going to make yourself, as scarce in the area as possible. You're free.
Sure.
So if we're dealing with a spirit that may be somehow contained, and even those strange things, I remember a story about a nursery where the child had died, so the family just walled over it. But there was so much sorrow and so much, emotion in that room that the walled-in capability was they were trying to refuse their own grief, and instead they manifested an energy that was inside there that desperately needed to get out. And they would cut away. As a matter of fact, there was a house on Jones Street where the people living there tried to orchestrate an exorcism, and what we found in that house was a hidden room, and it was a very creepy hidden room because it was an attic that had been turned into an apartment.
Sure.
And one of the hidden room, the hidden room itself was so creepy because it was all that was in the room was like a big like metal sink.
Sure.
And like a couple of bags and stuff, but it was like, why did you seal this up? What would make a person seal up in an apartment? Because it wasn't like a giant room, but it was more space.
Yeah,
and it was like they beautifully walled over it, but the drywall was buckling. And they were thinking that it was like water damage or something, but they couldn't figure out where it was coming from, where it was going.
It was ghost damage.
So when ectoplasm. So when they pulled the drywall down, they're like, oh, there's a room in here.
Yeah.
And all I could think was that was the murderer's room. It's like because you get this. You always jumping to the dark is not abnormal when you hear these stories because the first thing you think of is something bad happened there. It's like that's bad news. So whenever you're dealing with something that's been sealed away, secrets have a tendency to magnify over time. If you try to keep something secret, it begins to really push back at the boundaries of your perception.
Do you, just a side tangent, do you know where on Jones Street that was?
Yes, it was on the absolute corner of Jones and Abercorn. It was a tall building. Wow. On the bottom floor, I think there's
like by Clary's?
Yeah, directly across, like diagonally across.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so east to west?
West.
Okay. East to west, like across, not like across from north to south.
It's on the northwest corner.
Gotcha. Understood.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, then.
Well, JT and I live on Jones Street. That's why I was curious.
Yeah.
I also, because I had recently done...
You live on West?
We live on the east side of...
Jones?
Yeah. But, yeah, I recently did some poking around in our house without JT being there.
Great.
And got some really weird things, including attics. So when you said that, because where we live, it's been broken out. It's broken up into 4 units essentially out of one house. And so I assumed whatever I was picking up on was in the unit above us.
There you go.
Which I would assume could have an attic. You know, obviously we're on the lower.
Jones Street is woefully haunted.
Oh yeah, it's
all
very
over
haunted.
the place. Like right across the street from the house that I just talked about, a man was murdered for his coin collection. You know, and then there's a phantom cat that literally runs through the townhouses. So like 3 or 4 different families would be like, there's a cat in my house. And it's the same cat, but it's like
just goes all the way through
the walls back and forth.
You have a story for everywhere.
Right?
That's crazy.
That's not shocking though, with the amount of stray cats that are around our house. They all, just a fun side note, all of the cats that are around our house are named after crystals. I've given them all crystal names.
There you go.
Yes.
So
yes. So going back to the story,
Yes.
what do y'all think it is?
I think it's just like either your house spirit, or it could have been somebody who passed away on the property. You said that the house was built in the 1960s, so it's not impossible that it could have been the previous owner, or
The land itself.
Somebody who died on the land.
I know that in California you get a lot of like natural forming crystal deposits under the ground that can help or hurt.
Yeah, true.
I had a friend who described people who have sensitivities as bright lights in the dark. Whenever you have somebody who has sensitivity, they are a bright light in the dark, and all the other spirits are in the dark. So, everybody is luminescent in the spirit realm, but some are brighter than others, and the spirits are drawn to that. So if you are sensitive, then you could be having this effect, moths to the fire kind of effect. And so even the idea of long dormant spirits suddenly realizing, there's somebody who might be able to communicate with or get messages across or whatever purpose a spirit has can be explored with the help of someone who is still anchored in this world. And the brightest lights are the sensitives. So, that very well could be a part of it. Is if you're very sensitive, you are shining like a beacon. And these spirits could be from the house itself, could be from the neighboring, houses,
true.
could be from, any number of places. And, classically, if you're walking by a place that is haunted and you are bright enough, a spirit will follow you home. A spirit will connect to you. And my phrase has always been, people are more likely to be haunted than houses. Because people can serve a spirit more of life, really. A house is a structure, a building that the energy kind of resonates and holds, but a person has all of these experiential things. And I do believe, because I always talk about ghosts can't learn, but it's far more complicated than that. I think ghosts can adapt to you, can become sort of familiar with you, and in that sense, they are utilizing your memories, your knowledge, and your overall energy to help fill in the blanks of its own existence. So while it itself is going to be whatever it was when it died, and cannot adapt much further than that, although we have talked about ghosts who die and then their potential becomes a part of their understanding, but they'd have to do that through observation. They'd have to do that through a human knowledge base, not necessarily their own, so the question of what it is broad. There's so many answers that we can come with, but if you keep at it, if you keep looking, you may be given the answer. Absolutely. You may be, made aware of things. Sometimes pay attention to your dreams. There's a good deal of your dreams that might be communication and not just random slips of the world coming through your sleeping world. Pay attention. Ask everybody who was involved in your hunt if they are continuing to have these things. You mentioned that you talk to them often, and that's great because the act of talking about ghosts and the act of talking about experiences really helps the spirit realm solidify and have the avenue to engage us. So keep it up as long as you're not feeling threatened or
Yeah.
if you don't feel danger, go ahead and keep it up. If you are feeling danger, on the other hand, it's the opposite. You can shut it down. You can close it off. You can stop the communication by refusing to acknowledge it. So those are the two paths of investigation. Some ghosts can be starved to death by simply not giving in to them, not feeding them. Don't feed the ghosts if they're dangerous.
It's true. I completely agree with what you're saying, and it is also worth, like maybe doing some research about your property and whatnot.
Definitely.
Seeing if your family, when they bought the house, or if you're renting, asking the landlord if they have like any documents about previous owners or things like that. But absolutely pay attention to your dreams, because it was like how I found out about my ghost that lives in my house. He was a very strong one about it, but it happens to people, so definitely keep with it. But we're happy to have you though as a Parajunkie.
Yay.
Yes
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, that's
All
super
right.
sweet.
Moving on to the next story, 2 of 2. Here we go. This story is from our Parajunkie Emma. All right, here we go.
All right. Hi, y'all. Here's my story of what happened that night. This happened at the Shanley Hotel in New York in the summer of 2020. I'm part of a ghost organization, and we stayed there for an overnight investigation. I recommend y'all look up what the Shanley Hotel looks like. It screams uber haunted, and then she included a link, so we can include that link for y'all too. Some names are changed for privacy reasons. I did my best at spiritually warding myself, as I'm a practicing witch, and work with 2 deities, Loki and Brigid. Excuse me. I had my my go-to protection crystals I kept on me the whole night, and my necklace I use as a form of spiritual protection. It was a hematite crystal and a triquarta pendant. You sound very prepared. And also you have Loki on your side. Loki is great. So
If not a little intense.
a little intense, but that's okay. The chaotic energy works in your benefit for things like this. But trust me, I thought I was protected enough, but I guess not. I've done plenty of ghost investigations before, but nothing to this magnitude. So for the investigation, there were roughly 20 or so of us, and we were divided into teams to go into different parts of the hotel throughout the night. I had my partner with me the majority of the night, who kind of acted as my spiritual protection too. The guide at the hotel said my partner, Liz, is a spiritual wall, basically. Well, there you go. Always have Liz with you.
Definitely.
Now, when we first got to the hotel, we got a tour, and this one room kept grabbing my attention. This room was dubbed the scrying room. It's essentially a closet-sized room that has a mirror used for scrying. Big enough for only 2 people at most. The guide, I'll call her Linda, said that people have seen spirits in the mirror of either random spirits or relatives. I first wanted to use the mirror to see if I could make contact with my late grandma, who died unexpectedly in 2016. This was during the day before the investigation, where I did go into the room, but I did not conduct any seance or try to attempt to scry. When I went in there, I felt an utter sadness and was in there for at max 30 seconds. But later on in the night, when Ryan asked if I wanted to go back into the scrying room, I decided, that's probably not a good idea to do it, as anything could come through that mirror. Throughout the night, it felt like something was calling me back to it, like compelling me to stand in front of the mirror. I told my partner what was happening, and she basically kept me away from that room the whole night. The guides at the hotel were also with us for the entire investigation for safety reasons, and we invited them to be with us. The spirits also have a bond with one of the guides, Linda, so they were more active throughout the night because she was with us. Linda is also sensitive, who can see/hear the spirits. We started the investigation, and my team went to the basement, which during the early 1900s was used as a makeshift morgue. This hotel sounds crazy. I want to go here.
Yeah. I know, same.
When the ground was too cold to dig graves, so they used that. Ironically, this place felt the most peaceful to me. After listening to Chris's theory about attic ghosts and basement ghosts, it makes 100% sense. In the basement, there was also an alleged portal, and there was a portal in the attic. The guide, Linda, said we could touch the portal in the basement and feel the energy from it, which I did touch. This probably what blasted my spiritual protections. Linda did say it was safe, hence why I did it. The portal felt very calming, and I felt the energy run through my left hand that was touching the wall down to my feet. It was a very weird sensation. The compulsion to still look into the mirror was still present, but it wasn't a constant compulsion in the basement. After the basement, not much happened that I recall. This is where my question comes into play. How do I know if a spirit was trying to possess/oppress me? My team and I went onto the 3rd floor where Linda said that it was where the most malevolent spirits reside. Linda also said that the majority of the spirits stay where they reside. If they reside in the basement, they stay there. If they reside in the gentlemen's quarters, they stay there. If they reside in the bordello, they stay there, but are known to go into the gentlemen's quarters. If they reside on the 3rd floor, they stay there. The staff of the hotel kept the 3rd floor bolted shut because the 3rd floor is under construction and unsafe if you go alone. Broken floorboards and no electricity. Linda noticed that the little girl spirit, Rosie, followed us from the living room to the 3rd floor. Linda says Rosie has never done this before. Rosie finally left us, and we continued through the 3rd floor. We started with 6 investigators, and Linda, my partner Liz, was with us on the 3rd floor too. We never went into the room that housed the other portal, but other investigators did. The 3rd floor houses a potential mafia mob boss spirit and other mafia ghosts. Some Irish mafia, I forgot the name. Other spirits are a woman who either died by suicide or was murdered, a reported murderer, and a serial killer named Adam. We went into Adam's room, and this is where it went down. We did the experiment where Linda conducted the Estes method. The method, if you don't know, is where a person puts on a blindfold and noise-canceling headphones to deprive their senses. The person then listens to a spirit box and calls out any word they hear from the white noise. We got really good intelligent responses. Most of the answers came from a spirit named Frank who looked after the girls in the bordello. Other answers came from Rosie, the little girl spirit who Linda had to tell to go back downstairs. Then other answers started coming through from an unidentified malevolent spirit. Some words were kill, Rosie, murder, and rape. I asked, "What's your name?" And what came through was, tell me you're mine. This is when I believe a partial possession/oppression started happening. Liz started feeling uneasy, where she was sweating/nauseous, and her gut told her to leave. Normally, Liz is fine in uneasy ghost investigations, but she felt something tell her to leave. We believe this was Adam trying to latch itself on her first. But Linda told us Adam doesn't like strong, aka big, tall-looking men, male presences. She felt fine with our investigator, Bob's, hand on her, but she had to leave. She left the 3rd floor with Bob. He came up after Liz was back at the base camp. We were left with Linda and 4 other investigators at this point. Then Bob, then Linda left. This is when I do not have a memory, so everything is fuzzy and has been told to me by other investigators. We think Adam then tried latching himself onto me. From what I've been told, I was staring dead straight at another investigator, Mike, where I was told I had a blank expression and a soulless stare. I thought our lead investigator, Ryan, was behind me the entire time, but I was told later he was not. But I swear to God, oh no. Okay, there we go. Sorry.
I got chill bumps.
Yes, sorry for that. Technical difficulty.
Actual chill bumps.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is very creepy. Okay. There we go. I thought our lead investigator, Ryan, was behind me the entire time, but I was told later he was not. But I swear to God, I vividly remember someone standing behind me the entire time in that room. Could this have been Adam's spirit? I don't know. After we finished our session on the 3rd floor, we left. I don't remember coming back downstairs at all. The only things that I remember was Liz putting her hand on my shoulder and asking if I was okay. Liz says as soon as she let go of me, I was gone. Like there was no thought or expression behind my eyes. Gone. At some point, Liz put a cross behind me, and I vaguely remember talking to another investigator. Then Liz said something moved the cross. Apparently, it was our cameraman who moved it. Again, I have no recollection of this, but this is what's been told to me from multiple investigators. Apparently, I lunged at the cameraman. Keep in mind, I am 5'2", and the cameraman was 5'10". Apparently, it took Bob and Ryan, who are big, tall, and heavy-set guys, to stop me from lunging at him. At this point, Liz told Ryan that I am not myself, and told Linda too. According to Liz, I was reluctant to accept help. Ryan, Liz, and Linda took me aside into a quiet area to figure out what was happening. They realized something was trying to or was attached to me, and Linda helped me rework my ward/protection. I do remember her spraying me with protective herbs in a spray mist form. She helped me do the white bubble technique and call upon my deities. As weird as it may sound, I felt them around me with their presence and smells of campfire, what I associated with Bridget and Loki. And there was no fire at all in this hotel. Liz says whatever happened with Linda worked. Where I was back to my normal self, I was engaged in conversation and happy. Apparently, I even asked if we were going to the 3rd floor. They said we already went to that area, and I was like, what? I don't remember that. I still felt that compulsion from the mirror, and I told Liz, Ryan, and Bob, keep me away from that thing, which they did. And when we had to pass it, Bob held his hand over my eyes and steered me away from it. We closed the door to that room to help stop whatever was happening to me, which worked, but the spirits did not like the door being closed, and we heard the door open from the bordello area. When we were finished with the investigation, I had Linda ward Liz in mine's rooms. The room I picked was reported to be the least active room and felt the most peaceful compared to the other rooms. I felt fine the rest of the night, but something poked me in the middle of my sleep. Liz didn't poke me as she was facing the other way. In the morning, I was completely fine, back to my normal self. I was talking to everyone and didn't feel anything, but I cannot, and still to this day, recall what happened after Liz left the 3rd floor. I don't remember lunging at our cameraman or what I even said to him. According to Liz, I lost 45 minutes of what happened that night. When I got home, I immediately cleansed myself of herbs and my crystals. I've warded myself better since that night, as I hope to God I never experience that again. Again, that leads to my question, how do I know if a spirit was trying to possess/oppress me? I do believe this was a partial possession/oppression, as I know they are different. I just realized I said half of my story. I'm so sorry. Asterisk, different types of possession. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to read my story of what happened. I'm so sorry that it's super long. Don't worry about that. We like the details.
Yeah.
I did try to condense it as best as I could without taking away key aspects of the night. I'm still terrified about talking about it and trying to remember it. Feel free to share my story on the podcast or whatever you guys feel see fit. Thank you so much. If you have any questions you want clarified, please let me know.
Well, I'm gonna need that in a screenplay format.
Yeah, right. Seriously,
wow, that was a movie. I mean, I was
Goodness
playing it out in
gracious.
my head. We got to go see that hotel.
Yes,
for sure. And then, I would love to see some of the video y'all captured.
Absolutely,
like,
that's what I was about to say. Have you seen the video? Because while it may jog your memory of the period,
Yeah.
it would be very telling as to what you were attempting, or whatever the spirit was attempting to get done at that moment, at that time. Also, do we know who Adam is? Do we know who Rosie is? Do we know who these people are? I mean, being identified by their name and by their position in the building, it raises those questions like, how much do we know about the history?
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking, because I thought it was odd that Rosie, followed you, because, especially since she had never moved positions before. I'm also always suspicious of children ghosts anytime I hear about them, just because a lot of times malevolent entities do take form as children to get you to trust them. And so that piques my curiosity that she was nearby initially.
But on the opposite side of that, oftentimes children ghosts are the most likely to try to intervene when something bad is about to happen, because children ghosts tend to, they try to get you not to go in the bad place. Mm-hmm. They will set up guards. They will try to keep you from going somewhere that might do you damage. So that's another interesting angle, is the idea that a spirit that never leaves its space, left its space, went up to a space and had to be told to go back down. It might have been a situation where that spirit might have been calling out to say, don't go there, don't go up there. There's, not tonight, especially after an encounter with a portal, an encounter with a mirror. I cannot tell you how deeply against mirrors I am.
Yes.
You can tell. I don't spend a lot of time in front of mirrors.
No,
no, the truth of the matter is they are... opening doors is a very dangerous act, and I love how prepared you were. I love that you had all of these things in place. What we always have to remember is that our faith, as strong as it is, goes head to head with the faith of the other thing, whatever it is. And its faith may be twisted and bizarre, and it may have, caveats that we are not aware of, and its abilities are based on its faith versus our faith.
Sure.
And sometimes our faith is so focused that we get blindsided. Something comes around from the side and hits us, and it's because we put all our faith in something that was directly in front of us. So it's a tricky thing, because I'm absolutely in no way saying that the steps you take were ineffective. What I'm saying is you're going head to head when you go into places that have strong spiritual energies. And imagine, if you will, a person dying and then being in a space and learning the new faith, learning to understand its position in the universe as it stands. And its observations are so foreign to ours. What it knows and what it learns is so different than ours that sometimes our protections can be, sidetracked. They can get around our protections simply because we can't think the way they think, and we can't know the way they know. And so small things, little things, like the act of standing in front of a portal, looking into the mirror, even opening the wrong door into a room, you are basically in a contract with a spirit, but you didn't know. You didn't know that the contract existed. You didn't know that this spirit was like, if they do this, then I will have this, then I will have this ability. It is, all speculation, all like these are the kinds of things that occur to you when you hear stories like this. I had experiences very similar to this at the Moon River Brewery.
Oh, yeah.
I had two separate stories, one my own and one a guest of mine, having these blank out moments, these speaking and not remembering it at all. And only when you're being pulled away, only when you're out of the space do you regain your memory, and you can't remember that period of time. That, to me, it's like drowning in spiritual energy. It's because we talk about possessions and we talk about oppressions, we talk about a spirit taking over, but there is also just getting lost yourself.
Yeah.
Being in a place that is so spiritually charged that it wasn't a question of whether your protections failed you. It was a question of where did you go in that moment? There was an opportunity for you to explore, and did you take it spiritually, allowing for these other entities to present themselves, to try to get some piece of their existence marked and known. especially violent spirits.
I wonder if it wasn't something between oppression and possession, because what I mean by that is oppression by a demon or a super malevolent entity like Bloody McKenzie, who became a demon, a poltergeist, but a demonic kind of one. Oppression is where the demon can influence what the victim does, but is not fully inside. And then possession is where the demon is fully inside and has control over the mind and body.
Right.
So it makes me wonder, was it almost like in the middle of an extraction?
Sure.
Oh, sure. And that was kind of
the first thing I thought.
That sensation of, and it's interesting too to note that bordello ghosts seem to come in those categories: the very abused women,
yeah,
and the very abusive men.
Yeah,
that bizarre contract of spirits are almost always found. There's a place in City Market that has that conflicting, and the belief was that it was the man who killed the prostitute and the prostitute herself haunting the same location, as the fact that their acts in that place, in that moment, were worth breaking the plane of existence,
sure,
so that it can, more than residual haunt, because people's experience with it became very engaging, and people would lose their sensibilities. So in question of possession, because possession is basically like a demon eating your soul.
It's a full takeover.
It's a full takeover, and the battle between the demon and you is over. That's generally why you need an outside source to reinvigorate your spirit to fight the demon.
Yeah.
And a lot of people make a mistake of thinking that possession is worn off by the rituals played and the things played and these things. It is when the spirit gets strong enough to expel the demon through recognition of their wards, their deities, through recognition of the rituals that they performed, through recognition of the things that gave them the power to, like when you smelled the smoke, and when you immediately knew to call upon those deities that the smoke reminded you of. That, in many occasions, is how a possession is truly beaten. A possession is not the ritual of exorcism. The ritual of exorcism is not what does it. It's the recognition of the soul inside the body fighting, getting energy and strength and power through faith, through understanding, through recognition. Yeah. Which is kind of why the priest with the rosary and the holy water is a universal symbol that people of all faiths at least recognize as he's come to fight the demon. And not to say that the exorcists aren't fighting demons, because they absolutely are. Because the moment you threaten a demon in its new home, that demon will fight. That demon will say, it's mine. And if it's not going to be mine, then you'll be mine. It is definitely...
It's like a big cat. It's like a big cat that's like defending its killed prey.
Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah. So personally, what I think might have happened, what might have targeted you specifically, is the fact that you touched the portal. Because your energy has left an impression upon that portal. And portals are interesting to begin with when you're investigating, because it's a thinning of the veil, essentially. So, it's allowing things in. And I don't know if they've properly have warded those portals or things like that. I mean, your people that you were investigating with, they sound like they know what they're doing, but you never know if portals. So it's very possible that something noticed you and was like, I like that person's energy.
Oh, absolutely.
And it came through. So I don't know if it was necessarily the serial killer that was trying to possess you versus something that was, that was drawn to you from when you touched that energy.
I feel like with with the whole going back to the bloody McKenzie thing, like I feel like the serial killer could have been just a heinous person and is like turning into.
Well, I mean, it's not entirely impossible that it was Adam, but
you're saying there's other options.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, because it's less likely to be possessed by somebody who was at one point human than it is to be possessed by something that has never been human. And that's why I lean a little bit heavier towards the side it was something that was near the portal and it picked up on you. And especially because your partner also picked up on that energy, and you two being partners understand, have a kind of an energy exchange in that way where you'll notice if something's going to happen to each other. I know I feel that with JT.
And it's worth noting that a spirit that's kind of hopping from prey to prey is pretty actively hunting. Because Liz left.
Yes.
And you felt that whatever it was, and I'm not above saying Adam, because I do believe that the human spirit's condition oftentimes relies on how much humanity it can hold on to.
Sure.
And in the case of like a serial killer, you're already dealing with a pretty diminished humanity. And so the idea of a human that has shed all of its humanity, its empathy, its sympathy, its ability to see anything as worthy or valuable, that is a dangerous entity. That is the kind of human spirit that I would deem demonic, because of the acts that it performed during life, and then in the afterlife, it has learned to hate life so much. It has learned to hate the aspects of life, and the one thing that it had that made it feel alive and good was monstrous and terrible. And to want to continue the monstrous and terrible actions so it can feel alive. That is one of those big things about why is a ghost here. Technically, I believe one of the biggest answers is to be alive again, is to feel life. They don't want to let go of this world. They don't want to let go of this realm. So they initiate behaviors that allow them to have life. But in many times, that's very nice. Many times what they want is companionship, company.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
What they really want is, to experience the life that they led before. Well, guess what? If you're a serial killer, the life you led before involved murder and mayhem and the sensations that drive the serial killer, the rage and the just sadistic nature of it. If that's your only connection to being alive, then I could see where you're dealing with spirits that are overwhelming you. They are putting you in a position, and if you do not spend time thinking about killing people, that's a door somewhere in your brain, somewhere in your soul, that these dark forces can come through, because you haven't really guarded that door, because you spend no time, hopefully, ideally, if people don't spend their time reveling in the idea of killing. And when somebody, if that's the only emotion they have, then that's the door they're coming through. And when you touch a portal, absolutely, what you've really done is you've turned on a big light in the dark and said, here I am, because on the other side of the portal are just dark, unwitting entities. And what they're looking for is purpose. And your light provides them purpose.
Sure.
So it's a strange, and I would love to hear more about the story. I would love to hear
I know,
more
we're
about your experiences. So
honestly.
if you have more to add, if you have new information on it, that is great.
Any video,
and we're
or if you want to come
photos.
on the podcast.
If you want to zoom in on the podcast, we'd love to have you.
Yep.
Because these are all just speculative things, because we've had similar experiences, we've seen similar things, but in the end, there is a big question mark as to what is possible and what can happen to you in these situations. And a good warning to ghost hunters everywhere. You know, it's like the act of ghost hunting oftentimes comes with a little bit of peril, and that peril is our desire to experience and to witness and to, catalog the supernatural comes with a warning. You know, you just might find it.
Two awesome stories.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Emma and Nicole. Seriously.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing those with us. We really appreciate it. And it's always fun to talk about like actual experiences from people that we can interact with, because we can talk all day long about things that happened in the 1800s, but it's always interesting to talk about things that are more recent and
absolutely.
like are going on in people's lives. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, and thank you for being Parajunkies. We love you guys. You are very wonderful to us. So with that, though, that's going to wrap up our 40th episode. Woohoo!
Woo-woo.
So thank you guys again for watching. If you do want to follow us on social media, you can find us on TikTok at The Savannah Underground. And we have a new Instagram that is just for the podcast. So with that, you can find us under The Most Haunted City on Earth on Instagram. So definitely check that out so that you can stay up to date on all the things that we're doing. So cool. With that, my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And stay spooky, y'all.